Hey, it's Molly. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. As I wanted to do a quick tutorial for you on how to access and work with more of your sun signs energy, as well as your soul growth in this lifetime. And this can be a helpful way of understanding more of the energies that are available to you, how to access them consciously, and what you're meant to access more specifically in your own chart. So I'm actually calling this your solar energy grid. And I'm going to walk you through what that means. It is something that I do mention and describe here in my new book, but I wanted to show you what it looks like because I know how important the visuals are with this type of information. So in this chart, we can see that she has her sun in Taurus. So you identify your sun sign, which most people know because it's usually how you enter into this world of astrology. And at a soul level, you had to choose one sun sign to embody in this lifetime, to go into what that energy is for you, what it's about, what it is, something you're experiencing in this lifetime, because the sun sign is so important to your sense of self. And it's where you're developing confidence in your own energy, understanding more of who you are, what you're here to experience, your gifts. So much is wrapped up into that sun sign energy that it's how we first identify ourselves. But as we take a bigger approach, meaning we look at this from a macro perspective, we know that the astrological wheel is an ongoing progression of energy. It's all connected. It's all connected. And there can be ways to access more of your own energy by looking at how you can support your sun sign, as well as some parts of your energy that you might not be aware of at first glance. So again, you start by identifying your sun sign and understanding what that energy is for you. And then I do discuss it more here in the book, as well as then digging into the soul growth themes and how those can show up for you in your life, as well as some things to be aware of around what your soul is learning. So most of us, again, you know your sun sign, right? Now, what happens when that energy feels stuck, or you're having a bad day, or you don't know what to do next in your life, or you don't know where to go with your energy? Every astrological sign has the higher and the lower expressions of itself. And so when you are feeling the lower expressions of your sun sign energy, one thing I want to bring your attention to is the astrological sign before your sun sign. So here the sun is in Taurus, so then the sign before that is Aries. Now keep in mind, as I said, it's a progression of energy. So this means too that before she was born, of course, the sun traveled through Aries, right? And it traveled through Aries in order to get to Taurus, and that was her birthday. And so this Aries energy in her chart is fairly prominent because she has Venus in Aries and Jupiter in Aries, as well as her North Node in Aries. So in this example, she could already be conscious of these Aries energies in herself and in her chart. But this is for you to look at the astrological sign before your sun sign, because this is what I'm calling your blind spot energy. That's because the sun always moves forward. The sun is always moving direct. So essentially, think of yourself standing here facing forward. Your energy is meant to move forward with the sun sign, but that means you have energy behind you that you might not always see, or it might not always reveal itself. It could feel like it's even uncomfortable to like stop and turn around and look at what's behind you. So I call this your blind spot energy, where you don't always access or know some of these qualities or traits, but they're working to support you. And in this case, the Aries energy is about what your first intention is, or why you began something. What is driving you? What is propelling you? Okay, so here's the quick blurb. The Aries energy may be a blind spot if you are not sure what actions to take next, or if you feel stuck or unable to change. So the blind spot energy is going to ask you some new questions, ask you some ways to consider your own energy and maybe what you haven't seen before, what you haven't tapped into or tuned into. Now, because she has planets in Aries, that supports her. But if you don't have any planets or points here in your blind spot energy, then this could be something that you haven't really noticed or tuned into. There could be parts of yourself that you're wanting more of a perspective on, or needing a new awareness in order to understand more of what to do next or where to go next. This blind spot energy, again, it's something that you might not always notice in yourself, but it's a way to essentially turn around, look at what energy is behind you, but it can help you see something that you didn't notice before. And so this Aries energy is about beginnings and where to take action, where to move ahead. And so if that sun in Taurus is feeling stuck, you could go back to the Aries energy and tune into that for yourself. Just go into even the intuitive messages, what you're feeling. What is my driving intention? And that could be something that the Aries blind spot reveals for you. And that can work for you even if you don't have planets in the preceding astrological sign. So then, because the astrology chart is always a progression of energy, it's always meant to move forward. This sun in Taurus, which is conjunct Mercury here, is somewhat of it's a fixed sign, but this is where you're looking for your ongoing development, which is in the next astrological sign, which is Gemini here. And you can see she does have 2 planets in Gemini. The ongoing development is how you move the energy forward. And it's how you take the values and what is important to Taurus, what is essential, what is stabilizing, and then you move it forward into the Gemini energy of talking about it, discussing it, activating that throat chakra. So after you identify, of course, your sun sign, you're looking for the ongoing development, which is the next astrological sign that opens you up to more of how this sun sign is here to grow in your life. Now, for those of you who are more advanced, you're aware of how there are progressions in your natal chart. So the progressed sun, for example, will move into the next astrological sign at some point in your life. And that varies, of course, depending on every chart. But this is working with the next astrological sign so that you're aware of how to move the energy forward. So again, when that Taurus energy is feeling stagnant, slow, stuck, what do I do next? You would go to the next astrological sign for the forward movement, which in this case is, well, talk about it. Write it out, move the energy mentally, listen to yourself. What are you hearing? And this will help you really understand, again, how to move forward, how to take those next steps, and why that's important for you. So yes, it helps when you already have planets or points in that next astrological sign. And if you do not, so if in this chart she did not have planets in Gemini, it might be something that she has to consciously activate, where it's like, yeah, I need to talk about this. I need to write it out. I need to move the energy and get it going in some manner. So basically, you're assessing that your sun sign can work with the strengths of the preceding astrological sign, as well as the strengths of the next astrological sign. When you're looking for movement, development, understanding, turn to those other signs. And keep in mind that these other signs are always very different, because every astrological sign is very different than the one before it and the one next to it. For example, Taurus is a feminine earth sign. Aries is a masculine fire sign. Gemini is a masculine air sign. So you're accessing more of what you can work with, and you're doing so in a way that supports stabilizing the sun sign. And again, this will feel more natural for you when you have planets or points in the sign before and the sign after. And then what you're essentially stepping into is working with this flow of energy, the flow of energy that progresses and moves you forward. So I hope that's helping connect some dots here on how your sun sign can work with energy that came before, as well as the ongoing development of the sign after. Okay, and so again, an example talking about ongoing development of Gemini. So these are the strengths of Gemini, and then also recommending to read more about the sun in Gemini to understand more about these qualities and how they can show up for you, how you can use them, what they're about, and how they can serve you. And then the other part of your chart that I want to bring your attention to in regards to your sun sign is the balancing energy. And the balancing energy is always the opposite astrological sign in your chart. And so the opposite of Taurus is Scorpio. And what you're being asked to do when you go into the balancing sign, the opposite sign, is to again look at the strengths of Scorpio, which will take you into the depths of what you're feeling. What is your intuition saying? What is below the surface that's whispering to you? Because that's going to help understand more of what you want and what that sun in Taurus is ultimately choosing, deciding, or moving towards. And also helps to balance the energy, where this is the earth sign that can access the strengths of the water sign of Scorpio to go into what you're feeling on a much deeper level. And so this is a good thing to practice when your energy feels scattered, when you're looking for another perspective, when you're stuck, when you're trying to make a decision, especially a big life decision, when you're wanting to understand another side of the coin, so to speak, because the opposite astrological sign from your sun sign does have something to offer, does have energy for you to access. Now, yes, in her chart, she has Pluto in Scorpio, so she's already familiar with the intensity of the Scorpio energy at times and how that can be of service to her. Now, we have to work with this stuff consciously because, yes, that Pluto in Scorpio is very deep and it can go into things at a very intense level. So she's already connected to the Scorpio realms here. But when you work with it consciously, what you're also doing is you're seeing more of what is happening in your psyche that maybe the Taurus energy doesn't always see or connect to at first glance. And keep in mind, the whole chart is yours. All of this is your energy, right? All of this is you. So when you're going into this solar grid of your own energy, this is still you, even though you could have a perspective of, well, if you know astrology, this is an opposition, although it's not a direct opposition because this Pluto is at 8 degrees and her sun is at 19 degrees. So I wouldn't consider that a direct opposition. But what it is this intense Pluto energy is accessing the deeper caves, right? The deeper parts of herself to be aware of, which then gives that Taurus energy more to understand and sit with. Now, Taurus is very much about what's above the surface, what we see. Taurus is about our 5 senses, and then the Scorpio energy takes you deeper into what's below the surface, what you don't see, what you feel, what's happening in your unconscious or your subconscious. So this is how you can basically access more of your energy in your astrology chart by looking at the other astrological signs that connect to your sun sign and seeing this as part of your solar energy grid. And then I talk about that more here in the book to help you go into some things that maybe you haven't considered before, that you didn't see at first glance, or that your sun energy wasn't aware of or wasn't connected to. So you're basically connecting more energies to your sun sign, firing up and empowering that sense of self by also reminding your sun sign that it's not alone. You're connected to the full astrological wheel, but in this lifetime, you had to choose one sun sign to embody. But this is opening you up to more energies to consciously work with. So, for example, the sun in Taurus, if you're trying to make some big money decisions, if you're trying to get clearer on your finances or something around that part of your life, but you don't know what to do, you don't know what to choose, well, what you could do is then go back to the Aries energy, which is the blind spot, and say, okay, what is my driving intention here? What am I looking to move towards or create? So look at what that initial intention is. Then what you can do is talk about it more. So don't only stay in your Taurus world. Taurus can be an island. Taurus can be, I'll figure it out because I'm all about my own self-reliance. But the Gemini energy, when you move that energy forward to Gemini, it wants you to talk about it, write it out, make a list, do something to move it mentally. Then what you could also connect to would be through the gifts of Scorpio that takes you out of your initial Taurus perceptions, brings you into the other side of the energy, asks you to go deeper into what you're really feeling, even what your fears are, because Scorpio can reveal your fears, your doubts, something emotional. Maybe there's an emotional imprint you're holding around money. So what you're doing is basically going deeper into your own energy and providing more information for your sun sign and seeing the bigger picture, seeing more, again, of what you didn't see at first glance or notice right away. So I consider this part of a decision-making strategy, part of moving your energy, being very in touch with more of what you want in your life. And this is meant to apply to every single astrological sign. And that's part of what I wanted to show you through this solar energy grid, is that you are connected to the full astrological wheel. And this is how you can intentionally work with it. This is how you can intentionally move the energies, get into the heart of something, get clearer on what's driving you, maybe see some things you didn't see before, especially when you're looking at what the blind spot energies might be, and then understanding the bigger picture of what is best for you, as well as how to work with your energy more consciously. Something else about this particular exercise that I'm guiding you through is that it connects you to all four elements. So we have the sun in Taurus, earth, fire, air, water. So now what would you do when you're working with all four elements? Then we also have an interesting balance that takes shape here, because both Scorpio and Taurus are feminine, Gemini, Aries are masculine. So now you're working with all four elements and the balancing of masculine and feminine energies. And how does that feel? How does that resonate? Does that kind of alleviate any tightness or anything that the sun sign maybe is holding on to, but it needs to open up to? There could be so many different scenarios here. But I hope this connects you to more of what is in your chart, how to work with the energies, how to see them differently. And that's one thing I love about astrology that I get excited to teach you is let's look at it a little differently. Let's look at some more layers here. Let's look at it in a way that maybe you didn't first see? And what does that bring about? What does that move for you, or what does that open you up to? And I feel like that is one of the ongoing gifts of astrology, is that we can find these new patterns, these new connections, and these new energies that are right there in the chart. It can also make your astrology chart come alive in a whole new way. Like, what if, for example, you have a lot of planets here in the blind spot energy, the blind spot astrological sign? Well, then you're probably really tuned in to those energies. You're already aware of them and conscious of them. But what if you don't have any planets or points in the ongoing development sign? Then maybe that's what you need to work on. Maybe you need to work on how to move the energy forward. Or what if you have a lot of planets or points in the next astrological sign and you don't have any in the blind spot energy? Well, then maybe that's something new to look at, where you go back into what your intention is. Why am I doing this? What's supporting me? What energies are behind me, quote unquote, that I didn't see before, and how do I work with them differently or in a new way? And then what if you don't have any planets or points in the opposite astrological sign? Well, then it could be perhaps a struggle for you to energetically see another perspective, or to see the other side of the coin, or to access that opposing energy. And it could be something that you could then work on with the intention of balancing yourself. Because even though this is an opposition between Scorpio and Taurus, there are the gifts of balancing the energy, where you know how to access the strengths of one. So let's say the strengths of Scorpio, and how those would benefit the strengths of Taurus. So that would be a way to approach this, is that when you're looking at the higher expressions of the astrological signs, they will help balance and move energies, and they could tune you into more of what's available to you that, again, you didn't see at first glance or even notice. And I'm teaching this because it's something that I have personally found valuable in my own life, especially when I need to detach or not take something personally, or look at it through new eyes or in a different way. And it can also be helpful to understand more of the energies that are available to you and open to you. And this was something that I would share with clients when I do readings. I don't do readings anymore, but when I did readings, we would look at some of these parts of their chart so that they could go into some things they just didn't see or realize. And then again, they have more tools or more ways to work with the energies. And then here's a quick blurb in the book of what this means, kind of the very simple definitions, and what to be aware of as you're exploring more of these 4 points of soul growth and accessing more of your solar energy grid. So I hope this has been an interesting and useful way to look at your chart, to open up to more of your energy, and to consciously work with this full cycle, this full astrological wheel of energies, and to understand how you are beautifully connected to all of it. So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time, energy, and presence on my YouTube channel here. Thank you for your likes, your subscribes, your comments, all of that good stuff. And I'll be back here very soon with another YouTube video for you.